Call the meeting to order for the Parks Board February 9th meeting at 1 o'clock. Motion. Okay, have a second?
Sure.
Okay, so 1 o'clock. Let's see, Chris Bridges?
Here.
All right. Ed Schroll.
Here.
Okay, John Wagner.
Here.
Heidi Owen.
She's there. Can't miss her.
Heidi. Okay, oh yeah, we just can't hear you. You're muted. Okay. And Anna White.
I'm here.
Lisa Scott said she's coming, but she's going to leave. And today.
She's not on here, but I know she is attending one way or the other. She might just be.
The approval of the meeting agenda, I need to make two adjustments. One is the interview with Craig Houston, who's here right now, and he is applied for one of the empty park board positions. I'd like to do that actually right after the public communication. If that's okay, I have a motion to do that.
Motion, a second.
And second, all right, great, thank you, because he has a prior commitment, so I want to go ahead and have him get going. And then the second one, John Wagner is here, and he was gonna do a presentation with some pictures on the playgrounds, conditions of the playgrounds. And we can just add that to old business, or should, well, John, how much time? We'll just have you go first. I don't want to waste your time. Are you here for the whole meeting?
I don't have any pictures. I just sent you guys the emails. I was kind of hoping you guys could share those
Yeah,
and see
okay.
them. I just kind of wanted to give you an idea what's
I
going
did
on.
share them with everybody.
Okay,
Okay, so are you wanting to,
You want to do him first or? me
yeah, I will
first?
do him first,
Yeah,
and
then
then I'll just do you second.
That'd be
Okay,
fine.
that's great. So a motion to do John Wagner under Craig.
Motion.
So vote on the first
Second.
motion first.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes.
You're fine.
Let's go back to Craig, and all in favor?
Hi.
Aye. Okay.
Aye.
Hi. Hi.
All in favor, Craig,
Hi.
any opposed? No, okay, sorry about that. And how about the meeting agenda, the rest of it? All in favor of that?
So a motion to.
Hi.
Oh, we didn't, did we pass a motion for that? Yeah, we did. Okay.
We passed the motion for that, okay. Can I have a motion for that? And a second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Hi.
Okay, okay, great.
Hi.
All right, pass, meeting agenda passes, okay. Next, approval of minutes on the January 12th meeting. Did everybody have a chance to take a look at them? All right, approved as written. Do I have a motion for that?
Oh, motion there.
Okay, a second?
Second.
I'll second it.
Aye. Okay, any opposed? All right, approval of minutes from the January 12th meeting as they are. Next is public communication. Anybody on that I see? I can't.
I don't know, there is a number ending in 7487. Is that a citizen that wants to make public comment?
Hey, Kristen, I'm on here. It's Anna. Are you able to see me on?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, 7487 is Sarah Bisson. I have to call in from my office.
Oh, okay.
No public comment then. There's no, okay. All right. So first is Craig Houston. Welcome. Thank you so much. Appreciate you coming.
Absolutely, thanks for inviting me.
So a very impressive resume. You're new to Ocean Shores, and you wrote on here lots of experience in the public health sector and the planning and maintenance. And I remember you did send me an email, or John Martin.
Yes.
John Martin had forwarded it to me, and I replied to you about the skate park and the condition of skate park, which you'll note that we actually are aware of that anyway, and so we are, one of the things that we'll be focusing on is fixing that.
Excellent.
And so right now we have 5 members and we do a really good job of, we all are active, we all communicate, we all give our opinion, pretty respectful, and I think for us, what we would look for in another board member is somebody who would be able to participate, actively participate, and then like we do some ad hoc committees. Right now we're reviewing the comp plan, and we have ad hoc for that. We have an ad hoc for dog park, and so we'd be looking for people to participate in other ad hoc committees.
Great.
Anybody have any questions specifically for Craig?
Yeah, I noticed, I'm sorry.
No.
Sure. I noticed you said you have some experience in grant writing.
Yes,
How about 501c3s, anything like, have you ever done anything like that?
Very limited work with 501c3s. Primarily, my grant writing experience has been working within the public sector, so applying for government grants. So I've applied for state and federal grants. But yeah, primarily my experience is working with public entities.
Okay, that's cool. I like that.
Anna or Heidi, do you guys have any questions for Craig? Heidi, you're raising your hand.
Okay, so Craig, thank you for applying. I'm going to give a little information first and then ask a question. So I noticed that you do have a good background that certainly would serve our city. And one of the things that you mentioned was the issue with the skate park, which we are well aware of, and we are in the process. It is one of our priorities that we want to address with the city to be maintained. And we are going to need from that, not just the Parks Board going, but skaters going and letting the city council know that this is important. But in addition to all of that, the city also has big needs on the planning commission. And I noticed in your resume that was kind of second. So knowing that we are already addressing the skate park, knowing that we need skaters with the incentive and the ability to go and speak to council and to motivate others, what do you think about the Parks Board versus Planning Commission, and would be being on the Planning Commission? Not that I want you on the Parks Board, that's not what I'm saying. I just know the Planning Commission really does need some real help as well. And I just want to make sure that because since we're already addressing it, is this really your best spot, or are there other ways that you could serve the city? So I just wanted your input on that, why you picked the Parks Board and what you think about being on the Planning Commission.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great question, Heidi.
Personally, I have a lot of experience working with Parks and Recreation, and I've always loved working in Parks and Recreation in the past when I did that as a career. While I have a planning background, I am still full-time employed, and I know that the Planning Commission has a significant more time commitment as a part of that committee. And so it's just part of it is I have a 3-month-old at home, and I'm relatively new to the area, so I didn't feel like I could make that full stretch to the Parks or to the Planning Commission and fully commit myself to that level of need and have that level of full awareness that I would need in that role to be able to best be of service. But I have a general familiarity and background having worked in Parks and Recreation in the past. And then also just seeing the time commitments for the Parks Board versus the Planning Commission really made me feel like I wanted to first take the step and get more engaged in the civics that are happening here in Ocean Shores. I'm not fully well aware or acquainted with the entirety of the political landscape. I know there's been some changes that have recently occurred, but I felt like the Parks Board was a better way of getting entry into that and getting familiarity. And there's always the possibility of stepping into a Planning Commission role. in the future, but I would want to wait a little bit longer until I had a bit better awareness of the city, the political landscape, and the direction that citizens really wanted to see the city go in.
Okay, thank you.
Anna, do you have anything?
Not necessarily. I was just kind of thinking along the same lines as Heidi. It's maybe a little overqualified for the Parks Board when it might be better served being in the bigger, but then, I mean, his reasoning makes sense. I mean, it definitely makes sense. I can understand the time commitment that would be required. It might be too much at this time.
Okay, all right. Any other questions? I mean, your resume is impressive, so it speaks for itself. Anything you want to ask us?
Yeah, I guess I've heard a little bit about what some of the priorities were, but I'd love to hear a little bit more. And then also, just general curiosity, I know there's also a fresh waterways committee. I'm just kind of curious what the interface between the Parks Board and the fresh waterways committee is, since there are a lot of parks that do juxtapose fresh waterways. That's kind of another question I have, because I live along Duck Lake and I have seen some of the algal blooms, and this have raised some concerns, but I'm still new to the area and getting acquainted with everything, so don't want to make assumptions, but just kind of curious what the interface is with those committees.
Yeah, there's not a lot of interaction between parks and the fresh waterways. We do overlap a little bit. I mean, specifically the North Grand Canal Park is a park,
Yeah.
but it's really a fresh waterway issue. So we do parallel a lot and overlap, but they definitely have their own agenda. I think, is their budget different too? I can't remember. Their budget, they have a totally different budget. So,
Okay.
you know, as you knew in the email that I said the parks didn't meet for what, 18 months, Chris,
Yeah.
versus original number.
Well, yeah. And this group didn't get together until September
Right.
of 2021, so
Yeah.
we're working great considering we're so fresh,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
So you come in at a good time, I guess.
right, you are, actually, yes, you're coming in at an excellent time, and, so with COVID and some things happening, I think the parks are gonna be able to really make a difference here with some funds, so, you know, that's kind of where we are, we're just trying to figure out what the priorities are and go to city council and give them our priorities, and to see what we can do to get those working. Anybody else?
Sure, it's Ro. I'm a firm believer, always have been, that the lakes and canals should be part of the parks. And it just makes total sense to me, but right now we're not in a position to be able to make that happen. I think a lot of us think that should be, but we have the fresh waterways, they have their own board, and as far as budget goes, really none of us have a budget.
Yeah.
So that's something we're fighting, that's something that all of us are fighting for now. And right now, our biggest goal is to try and get funding for what we can control, dog park, the parks, the playground equipment that's falling apart, the roads that are falling apart leading to these places. These are all making things more handicap accessible. We're really trying to find a way to find funding for that. And also hopefully in the very near future to actually possibly get a budget. So we have something to work with. At least that's part of the reason I'm here. So, and I think a lot of us share this, but as mentioned earlier, we're all new. Okay, we're all new. We're here for a very short period of time. This was a non-functioning board for a very long time. So we're kind of playing catch up.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah, we're doing a pretty good job though. We're doing a really good job, actually.
Well, I think we are too.
We all have good intention, that's.
Yeah.
I think we have a good group. We all kind of think along the same line. So
Does that answer maybe some of your questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. I don't have any further questions. Anybody else have any more questions for Craig? No. Okay, well, Craig, thank you so much.
Yeah,
I know that you have a
absolutely.
prior commitment, so hopefully
Yeah,
I think we got you on time, so, and, we will vote, and we will let you know.
Okay.
After today, we'll vote today.
all right, great. Well, thank you all so much. Nice to meet you all in person, and those of you virtually, nice to meet you. I'm sure I'll see you around soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
Okay. John, playground, so I did forward an email to everybody, the pictures that John took, did you guys get those another
I did,
chance to
but I
review?
have a quick question. Okay, do we have 5 board members now?
So you'd be number 6. 1, 2, 3, yes, you would be number 6.
And that's what we were talking about, whether we should cap it at 5 or 7.
I thought we were, okay, well, maybe I misunderstood that.
We didn't change it.
I thought we were at 4, no?
No, it's
No,
it's
five.
Kristen,
You were five.
Heidi, Anna, you. and
Okay,
myself.
okay, got you. I'm there. Okay,
We
sorry.
weren't sure if we were gonna lose you though, because, you know, of the
Here I am.
city council.
Well, life, the universe says what it wants, so there you go.
Okay.
I'm glad you're still here, to be honest.
I'm very committed to
All
it.
right,
We
let's,
need your energy.
yeah, we do. All right, John. So I pulled up your pictures. Everybody get a chance to take a look at the pictures that I forwarded from John. They're Chinook
Yeah.
Park, the Schneider Park. Oh, thank you, Sarah's pulling up. So the floor is
I go
yours.
through the
Those
park
are,
as often as I
those are
can.
some pretty disappointing pictures.
Agreed.
Yeah, we caught, go ahead, John. Sorry.
And so I went through last week and saw some pretty horrific things, and I just want to make you guys aware of them. I'm gonna send that same email, the pictures to the city administrator and see about removing that
Yeah,
at Chinook Park, and then the little slide at Lions Park.
yeah,
I also found, which I didn't take pictures of, is, there's 2 horseshoe pits over at the Lions Park also that are completely rotted out except for the rebar sticking up out of the ground.
okay.
So that's gotta go away too, but, I'm starting to get kind of concerned. About 3 years ago, I took the tennis court out of the North Bay Park,
Okay,
and there was lighting and stuff like that, big tall lights for the basketball court and for the tennis court, and those are getting ready to fall over.
okay,
And so, I really hope you guys can push and get some money, because it's no fun taking something away and you know nothing's gonna come back, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If we had another one of those big toys in a box somewhere ready to put up, that's good stuff, but we don't.
right.
But, that's the majority of my park career at the city over 25 years, is I'm removing stuff as opposed to maintaining stuff or making it last longer. If you look at the cook shed at North Bay Park, the side that's closest to the trees,
Mhm,
it's like this, that's on its last leg.
mhm.
At the Lions Park, that little shelter they've got there, the siding on that, you could take a pocket knife and remove the whole thing. So I just try to make you guys aware of that. I mean, I don't want you to come by Chinook Park one day and see that thing gone and go, oh, what the heck happened? But I just thought I'd run that by you. And I mean, I think parks are very important in the community, myself personally. And I hope we can get council on board and start spending a little more money, give you guys a budget.
Yeah, thank you, John. Yeah, we, Heidi has her hand up. Heidi and I have physically gone around and taken pictures. Yours are a little more detailed, but yes, I think that you're talking to 5 people, potentially 6, that have the same exact vision as you have. So, Heidi, go ahead.
So John, first of all, thanks for the pictures. We had the ones at Chinook, but we missed that slide thing at the Lions Park. And so we will need that, because that's one of updating that playground equipment there, and at Chinook is on our list. But what concerns me is that you said something about the cook shed at North Bay Park is a problem, but also it sounds like you have removed other things. So is there any way you could email a list of the things that you've removed, so we know like what has been removed in the last like 2 or 3 years, because as we don't know.
The major thing I've taken out was the tennis court.
That was at North Bay?
Yeah, and the surface of it was so cracked, there were like 1-inch differences on each side of the crack, so it wasn't safe, to play tennis on by any means. More people were using it like to run their dogs around and things like that. which is fine.
Okay,
It just got to the point where the fencing and everything was just so, in such bad shape that, we need to get rid of it.
okay, and Kristen, I did notice that at North Bay that the basketball court is in bad shape, and so did you have to take some lights out there, you said, or you're going to take the lights out?
Well, I wanna get them out of there before one of them falls and hits somebody in the head.
Okay, so they are still there, okay,
They're all in bad shape. And it's
Yeah.
just, they've been there for 30, 35 years and it's.
Okay.
Made out of,
What's the process of removing them? I mean, can we just say do it?
Well, I think we have.
well, I think that's something the city has to
City
decide.
administrator has to.
Yeah.
decide.
Okay, so you're
You guys are like advisory,
you're gonna email Scott about that?
That, yeah, I'm gonna, like I said, this stuff scared me. The minute I saw that stuff, I was like, this has gotta go away. And so I wanna get that taken care of first. The lights,
If we get a good wind, in other words.
they're just getting old. They're just getting,
Yeah.
and the ones at the airport, they're in worse shape. They're still there.
Yeah.
Not as many people to hit.
I'm not as concerned about the lights as I am, the park stuff.
Okay.
We don't want any kids to get hurt.
No, exactly.
Okay.
Well, another thing, I don't know if you guys have done any homework on that, but that stuff's expensive. I mean, that little slide, I think you'd be shocked how much one of those would cost me.
Yeah.
And I haven't priced anything like that in a lot of years, but like the board that's missing on Schmidt Park, those are like $60.
Mhm.
And you don't buy them at Arrow Lumber,
Right.
you buy them from Play Creations or whoever made it,
Yes.
and they're expensive. And I've already removed stuff from that piece of play equipment. But I've always been to be able to put a wall or something like that. When I get rid of that bridge, I've got two openings, no way to get up on one. It's run its course, it needs to go away.
Yeah.
It's a
And
joke.
Nick Bird had mentioned that a couple of meetings ago when he was more here, that it needed to come down.
Yeah.
So, and we've been talking about that as a park board previous to us.
Yeah.
About that.
And I think I mentioned to Sarah Bisson that I can't remember if I told her or sent her an email or whatever, so I think she's got a heads up and she's looking for grants or whatever, because that's what she does, and she does a really good job.
Yeah, no, that's why she's on, is to
Yeah.
see how we can support her,
Yeah,
so, awesome.
so I'm not trying to be a doomsdayer, but I just wanna,
No, not at all,
yeah.
really
No,
appreciate it.
we're all on the same page,
Yeah.
and we'd like to be proud of our equipment.
yeah.
And safety first.
Yeah.
So,
The community club talking about equipment costs, their new park structures, the playground
Yeah.
things are incredibly impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd encourage you to get a hold of them and find out what they paid for those too.
that's a good idea.
Yeah, because when
Yeah,
you wanna know what you wanna build and what, you're trying to figure out what you want and how much money you need. I tell you what, it's expensive and the stuff in North Bay Park, we kind of put together as a city with the company to save a little money. And that's not the way to do it either. Buy it, have them install it. The liability is
I agree.
unreal. And we had an incident about a month after the North Bay Park was put in where a little kid got his head stuck. And we called them and they were literally here in the time it took to hang up the phone and drive from Seattle to fix that. That's how worried they were. And they made this adjustment on the handrail and everything was fine. But it's just something that,
no,
something that slipped by and you just don't want that
yeah.
down in the park.
right.
Yeah, so
Well, thank you, John. Anything else?
that's all I got. It's enough bad news.
It's not, it might be bad, but it's not new. It's like.
Does anybody have any questions?
I don't know.
Okay,
Are you gonna be able to join us every month,
I can try, yeah. Yeah,
even for a short period? I'd like to stay, in contact.
okay, yeah,
Thank you.
okay, anything else?
Not for me, but Anna or Heidi, do you have any questions for John?
None for me.
All right,
Okay.
thank you so much.
thanks,
Thank
John.
you.
Thank you. The cell phone's always on.
Thank you.
The office is always on.
It's
always on.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
It is awesome. That is true.
Don't call me at 3 in the morning, if you have to, it's okay.
All right,
Yep.
so some old business, adopt a park sign versus adopt a park program. Okay, so. Well, in going through some old information, we realized that the adopt a park, actually, when we were reviewing the, comps
Chapter
plan,
one.
that we actually have to go back and fix what we thought we could do. So we cannot change the adopt a park, and that is because there was a resolution made for adopt a parks. And it's resolution number 544. So in order for us to change it, we'd have to go back to the city and make another resolution. So we're gonna have to keep the adopt a park as it is. If we wanted to do an adopt a park sign, that would just have to be separate. We can't swap out the two or change the meaning behind it like we thought we could. So I don't know how, do we just
I have a motion.
do a motion to,
I have a motion.
you have a motion?
Yeah, so I have a motion that the Parks Board, I don't know what the word is, not unpass, but somehow remove the passing of the Adopt a Park sign motion, which we never did anything with beyond that anyway, except just to replace the Adopt a Parks program. But to terminate that idea for an Adopt a Park to replace with Adopt a Park sign, and to address the signs at a later date.
Okay, I'll second that. Everybody in favor?
Sure.
Aye.
Any position? Okay, so that's passed. So there is a formal adopt a park program. There is language. There is a form to fill out for people to sign. There's
Are any of the parks adopted? Okay, and
yeah, you've
Not
got
our main part.
Triangle Park. You've got
so there are people that have adopted those parks and then,
they've just taken city-owned property that can't be developed like a house
In their neighborhood.
in their neighborhood, like Gunderson
okay,
and Triangle Park 1, 2, and developed it into a park.
And
that's
they
basically
maintain them
what this is
also.
about. Hmm?
They maintain them.
They maintain them.
As a
okay,
community
so
service.
couldn't we ask the signage? Wouldn't that fall then into their backyard? Isn't that something we could ask them to do?
For signage, right?
Well, the original adopt a park sign.
Mhm. Well, there are no signs. Like Gunderson has their own little sign.
Okay,
There's no formal Ocean Shores City sign that says
okay,
that's a park.
okay,
Yeah, they don't have one of the blue and white signs.
Correct,
okay,
correct.
got it.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's on our map, to be honest with you. Gunderson might be, but Triangle's not. Okay. All right. So that was good information that we stumbled across. All right. Next, Parks Comprehensive Plan, Chapter 1, Heidi.
Okay, so did everybody have a chance to review the updates? Kristen, Chris and I met, twice, and went through all of Chapter 1. And lots of deletions because, as you know, the plan is currently 187 pages long, which is interesting because the comp plan for the whole city is like 80 pages or somewhere around there. So we're like more than double. And so we're trying to figure out how we can, reduce it to have it be more streamlined so that it's something that can actually be read. So we, some of the things we did, if you had a chance to look at it, was we consolidated the objectives and just tried to clean up some of the repeated wording. So I don't know if people had a chance to look at it, if anybody has any comments.
I have no comments since I was part of it.
At this point, the plan would be, this is my view of it, is that because we have to go on to chapter 2, which we will talk about a little bit later today. We'll be going through all the chapters. And so because this first chapter is kind of the intro, I can totally see us having to come back and having to do a few more edits to it. So I don't think we're asking, and Chris or Kristen, let me know if you disagree with me, but I don't think we're asking for a vote today that says, this is our final chapter 1. I think what we're asking it for is, are we heading in the right direction? Are you, with the idea to streamline it, if you've had a chance to look at it, did it seem to address what you thought was important without being overly wordy?
Yeah, Anna and Ed, did you have any questions specifically of, maybe some language that you didn't like or anything like that? And Lisa, I don't know if from the council perspective, if you had some feedback or not, so.
To be honest, this is the first I've had a chance to see this.
Oh, okay,
So
all right.
I can't really be honest, but what I do like is the minimalist part
Okay,
of it.
okay,
And
all
I
right.
think that's definitely going on.
Okay.
And no feedback as of yet.
Okay, so, Aunt, who was that? Lisa?
Lisa.
Oh, okay, and then Anna, do you have any
I'm
questions?
looking through my emails, and I'm not seeing that I even got an email with any kind of the update to look at it.
Sarah sent it out with the agenda.
Yeah, it was with the agenda, Anna, both the markup copy and the copy with the edited copy. So you may not have, if you opened the Word document, you may not have seen it, so.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I
then-
might not have. I'm looking through my phone, and that's what I'm looking at it, and I'm not seeing it on there. So
If you see,
I'll
if you
have to get
open
on the
the,
laptop.
Okay,
yeah, okay. Well,
so.
Oh, okay, I got it now. I didn't go down 26 pages. That's where I
Yeah.
stopped. I went through the first 3 pages and then stopped. So got you. Okay.
All right, so then you haven't had a chance to take a look at it. Okay, so
No, I haven't.
I'm gonna,
But I'm definitely a fan of streamlining.
okay, so, so I'm gonna make a motion, or do I have a motion, I should say, to go ahead and just chapter 1 be as it is for now. I would say it's always gonna be a working copy until the end of the whole parks comp plan, because we might have to make some additions since it is the introduction chapter.
I think it'll be that way with every chapter until we can compile the whole refine thing.
Yeah, okay, all right, well, nobody's had a chance to really look at it, so if you guys could kind of take a look at it before the next meeting, that would be awesome.
so Kristen, do you want to make a motion that I'm confused. Do we want to just table it to have comments for the next meeting? Or do we want to have a motion that says that, we accept it as the working document at this, at this point in time?
To accept it as a working copy, just going forward, we're always gonna be making some adjustments to it.
A work in progress.
A work in progress, can I get a motion for that?
I'll motion that.
Yeah, second.
Give me a second, all right, all in favor?
I
Opposed? Nope, okay. That motion passed. Okay, next up is the Parks Board presentation to City Council, Heidi.
Okay, Sarah, can you check to see if your email came through and you can put the presentation up? I didn't realize until this morning that the presentation copy, I don't think it got into the email, but maybe it did. Is Sarah there?
It did get in.
Oh, it did get in. Oh, okay. All right, so I don't know, did everybody see it then? This is our draft.
I don't know.
I was hoping Sarah could put it up on the screen, but I don't know where she's.
I'm good. Got it, working on it. Cool.
All right, so,
Thanks.
oh, here it comes. Okay, good. All right, so she'll have to go down. So here's our opening. We're still hoping to do on February 14th. Sarah, do you know if we will be able to be on the agenda? You still don't know. Okay, I guess, yeah, Lisa, is there something we have to do, or can you help us get on the agenda for Monday's meeting?
The agenda review committee met on Thursday, which this wasn't ready to go, and they approved. And the agenda goes out Wednesday, so your next set would be February 28th. So it has to be to my office no later than Tuesday the 15th, so you guys would be fine.
Well, we're fine. So we missed the other deadline because I thought we had it done early, but we missed it. Okay, okay. So it
Is
didn't
that
get to you.
okay with you then to wait to the next council meeting?
Well, we don't have a choice.
Well, I mean, I suppose you could always ask to, have an addition.
Well, there's nothing saying, just because it's not on the agenda, you have the 3-minute comment period that it can be brought up during also.
It's 3 minutes.
Right, but we can't do a presentation. We can't put up slides and stuff and ask and give council the opportunity to ask us questions during the 3-minute time frame.
Yeah, and it wasn't gonna be long, it was gonna be maybe 15 minutes at the most, but
At the most, and that was including time for questions. So,
it's not 3 minutes, yeah,
Well,
so.
that's,
yeah.
we're not public.
If you
Yeah.
can wait till the next meeting, it would be better. If not, I can always ask to have it added, but
That's okay. I think, what do you think, Kristen? It's like my trip got canceled, so I can be here to help you and support on the 28th, because that's the other thing we decided is who's gonna do it. So,
Yeah,
but yeah.
I'm not here on the 28th.
Oh, you're not. Well, then I could do it with somebody else, but unless you're feeling like you need to do it. So, all right, well, let's go through the presentation, then we'll talk about it, whether we think we should push it or not. Okay, so the first slide is just, when it is. And then the second slide gives the little bit of history. Do we, yeah, I guess, Sarah, you can hit the next one, right? So it reviews kind of what happened with the board. They didn't meet for 18 months. Well, there's, Sarah can get that second slide up. Formally shut down in March of 20. That the last meeting minutes were from October 2019, and the focus was on the dog park. So we're trying to stress that the dog park's been talked about for a long time. Oh, thank you, Sarah. Then there's really been no business since then. Then we kind of give the information of how we ended up with the board that we have right now. How Kristen and Anna joined, and then there was a special meeting, and then how one member, which would have been Chris, decided to continue, and we added 2 more, and then so we're currently 5. So that's just a little background. Then the third slide talks about what we start with, what we're focusing on. So the first thing is the Chinook, is the dog off leash park at Chinook. This is showing the actual area where we want to put it. So we'll highlight a little bit about that. Won't spend too long on it. The next one, slide 4, is to address the area around the park signs that we've been talking about that, and we're still working on that. So that's the other thing, because we're just trying to recap what we've been doing. Then the next slide, that we're working on updating the comprehensive plan. We are continuing to monitoring the park conditions and needs. We are doing the oversight for the summer fun program, which Kristen will bring up in a minute. So we want to be able to say that we are, this is what we've done with that we've invited somebody, we want to look at the budget, some other things, but that'll come up here shortly. And then we set priorities for park projects. So next slide. So here's where we're going to give the actual priorities. So we're going to sum up our 9 priorities: the dog park, the restrooms, we know the list. And then just kind of highlight and review these real quick, and why, just touch on a few of them, why they were important. And then we're going to tell them in the last one that we're going to come back both to ask for ARPA funds and for budget, and see if there's any questions. So Lisa, I'd like your input too, as well as the other members. But our thought is that this board has been so out of the picture for, a couple of years, that the council kind of needs to know what we've been up to, what we're doing, and that we kind of needed to kind of give them that to sort of, you know, get some embers under them so that when we come back, it's easier to like light a fire to try to get some support.
Well, I'll tell you, I think that the last meeting in February will be a real opportune time and probably better for the board to speak before council, because in March, we're going to be heading into a council retreat where we're going to be setting budget, our goals and priorities for the upcoming biennium budget, which we're going to go into this probably toward the beginning of summer, maybe the middle of summer. So it's almost the perfect timing because we'll be discussing priorities at the retreat in March. So this is, like I said, perfect timing for that.
So Lisa, do you think we should add a slide then in addition to our, because those 9 are our ideas for ARPA money, which also could go over to budget, but we also have other needs. So do you think we should expand that the list to include, other things that we would want in the next biennium? Or just, do you think just being on the list and coming back with, no, we have these specific, budget needs, we need to maintain these lights, we need to start replanting these trees, we have other things that we need to do, can come back in March or April?
Well, just personal opinion here. I think that figure out what the priorities are over the next 2 years and list that. Maintenance obviously is a priority because that's liability. And it's important to maintain what we have, but have a list of what those priorities are over the next 2 years, and that's what can come before council, that these are the things that are most important. And then maybe after that you have, as grants become available, here's more on down the line.
Okay, all right,
Does that
thank
make
you.
sense?
So thoughts from people, because when we came up with that list of 9, we were looking at things for ARPA funds, for specific ARPA projects, but we have I think that there are other priorities that we want funded. For example, like replacing the trees at North Bay. Some of those trees are not in good health, and we should start now with planting to get the trees more mature for the time that we take them out. And then, like John brought up today, the basketball hoop, or not hoop, but the court at North Bay. And that was one thing that Kristen and I noticed, that that doesn't, that's got some potential issues. So there may be other, and then there's also the idea of doing something at North Canal Park. That's been something that's been kind of on the back burner for a while. So I don't know if people have thoughts on, what are other priorities, or how can we bring these up?
Well, I feel like the 9 priorities that we've already earmarked are gonna be over a course of time. They're not gonna get all done in one year or just with ARPA funds. Or council is clearly gonna take what we've earmarked and take the priorities from there. And Sarah, go ahead.
I agree. I guess my question is, did we miss some because we were too focused on ARPA? Because when I was thinking about it, I was strictly thinking my priorities for ARPA. And so that's what I'm wondering. Are there things that the board feels maybe were missed? I'm not saying that those aren't important. I'm just wondering if there's things that the board feels were missed.
ARPA, and grant funds, future, budget funds. I mean, you can add some language and actually say ARPA, but Sarah's got her hand up, so.
Just because I don't know if everybody knows, but right before the budget season starts, our finance director sends out a budget calendar. And on that budget calendar, there is a council meeting specific date where the boards, committees, and commissions come and present what they want in the biennium budget.
Okay.
So it's just to not muddy the waters, like if you're talking about ARPA, that's the conversation, like Councilmember Scott said, is starting now. The budget for the biennium budget is totally later in the year where there'll be a calendar and you'll be invited to do a whole presentation for your asks
See
to
if
the
they
biennium.
on that or.
Okay,
No, that doesn't,
So,
that starts,
okay, so just to
May.
clarify, but the ARPA money is not gonna be part of the budget talk later. It's separate, right?
right.
yeah, they're talking about how they want to see the funds used, and it might come down to, they want to tie it into the overall budget and just deal with it then, but they are, the email that like you received as the chair, they are, what does that look like? So if you're gonna do a presentation, this, but all your budget priorities, kind of maybe for the budget, biennium budget review would be
So you're
the best
saying Kristen will get an email with a date for that discussion?
all the boards will, every board member will get a email of the budget calendar, and it goes on the city website and everywhere, because there's about 150 people chiming in.
So what month does that usually fall into?
I have not, the finance director knows that, maybe Mayish, June, July, I don't know.
So we
So,
can,
but-
this finance person and see if we can get a tentative date to mark on our calendar.
Well, she's gonna email it out, so it is what it is, yeah. But hold on a second, Heidi, Ed has it
Okay.
first.
Yeah. I think we should just stay focused on what we're doing right now,
Yes.
with your presentation, the way you have it. Present this to the city council on the 24th, 28th, whatever date that is. I think that sounds like a perfect time. And we definitely need to talk about a budget and other budget and maintenance items and such, especially with the photographs that Dave brought today and things we need to take up for John, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
We need to take a look at. So I think we should just stay with that presentation as you put it forth so far.
And the biennium budget starts in August. So there
Okay,
you
see, so it gives us plenty of
go.
time. Thank you.
Panic texting.
Okay, Heidi, do you have something to add?
No, but thank you, Ed, because that's exactly where I was going. It sounds like we've got time, so we should just maybe keep the focus where we have, since we've already talked about this. Do we have a motion that the presentation is okay, and this is what we want to present to council, I guess, on the 28th, or are there any suggestions for changes?
Were there any slides to look at?
No.
Okay, that's,
No, because we were just giving an overview.
okay.
We weren't getting into the nitty gritty of things. We just said, hey, this is what's been going
I
on,
know,
this is why we're here. We've got this is what we've been doing, and this is what so it was a
Yeah,
very short, brief overview. We don't want to take a lot of the council's time with,
let's do it.
so we need a motion, I need a motion for that.
I'll make that motion
So what's your motion,
I'll second
Chris?
it.
Is that,
to go ahead with that presentation.
okay, I need a second.
I second it.
Okay, great. And then all in favor for the motion to go ahead with the slide presentation as it is?
Aye.
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 Any opposition?
I'm not opposition, but I will update the date. That's it.
Oh, to February 28th, okay.
Yeah.
That passed.
And then Lisa, you'll be responsible for getting that to the agenda review committee.
I sure will.
Cool, thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't have that authority, so I think that's the person you have to go to get stuff on the agenda as your liaison.
Okay, so just just a point, I will get this updated and get a copy sent back out, and then make sure Lisa gets it, so she has that to know that that's on the agenda. Okay.
Okay, and then the Sugar Park project, I believe, so I had reached out to the high school, and I'm so sorry, this is not the right wood shop, it's not what they call it anymore. Teacher, to see if they would want to, like, it's not called wood shop, so I apologize. So anyway, his name is Kyle. Anyway, Kyle came out, met me, looked at the project, went back to his club. But he felt that it was just gonna be too much for his club. He's like a little over their head. So, So can't reach out to them for that. So I thought my next shot would be maybe an Eagle Scout project. I don't know if anybody here knows any Boy Scouts that are looking to make Eagle. Okay, I can do some research on that, but I just thought I'd tell you that, that is, not gonna happen with the high school at this time, so. All right, so new business. Okay, well, we already interviewed, Craig Houston. I think that we should probably just go ahead and can we just take a vote, Sarah?
Can we have a little discussion first?
Yeah, we can have a discussion, sure. Is that,
So normally what happens is that you,
go to executive?
no, you can't under a board, but you guys would send your individual thoughts to the chair or
Okay.
president, sorry, and the president on the board's behalf would then make that recommendation based on your thoughts
Okay,
to the mayor
Okay.
for appointment.
so you guys can.
So
just
you would
email-
like discuss
Oh,
the
good to know.
candidate on,
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So can you email me your thoughts and then, I'll take them, is that right?
Yep,
Okay.
individually, don't do it.
Yeah, not all, individual, yes.
Oh, okay, but we can't have a, that's interesting.
So, well, yeah, public.
Would this fall in the category of, do we wanna stay at 5 or 7 that we had been talking about?
Well, that's not on the agenda, but you could certainly give me your thoughts.
Yeah, the reason I guess we can't discuss, because it's a candidate, so we can't discuss somebody publicly, right? It's because it's an individual that we would be discussing. And we don't have the power for executive session, right? Sarah, as a board.
An RCW for volunteer candidates for executive session. no.
Okay,
All right, so.
So I guess it's safe to say, once we go to 6, we definitely will be going to 7.
It's possible, but it's not either.
Well, if we do, don't we need to have an odd number for any kind of voting in the future?
You just have to have a quorum of council members at all time. Your council, or excuse me, council, sorry. Your board membership is 7 seats, regardless of anybody's sitting in them.
Right.
So you always have to have a quorum of what would be the 7. So it doesn't matter if there's 6 here, there doesn't matter if there's 5 here, as long as there's more than 3.
Right.
Okay.
Or,
So.
I'm just always looking for that tiebreaker.
Comment I'm gonna send to you will be, kind of twofold in the sense of, if I approve of Craig, that'll say I want 6 people, obviously.
well, correct. I mean, again, we don't have, I mean, if we had a candidate that we did not think was qualified for a certain reason, we don't have to accept them. We don't have to push them to put them on, so, I think that was made very clear last time from Sarah, saying, you know, you'll have 7 seats, doesn't mean you always have to fill them. You don't always have to fill them,
Right.
if you don't feel like that
Or
person.
some
is-
like Anna thought it had to be an odd number.
Yeah, no,
Not true.
not true. So,
Yeah,
just,
thank you for that
all right,
explanation.
so just give me your information on that and then we'll go from there. Okay, so we've got, hi Sarah, sorry, we're friendly on you, sorry, it's taken a little bit. Parks Board Grants and American Rescue Plan Act funds. Sarah is our grant coordinator here at the city, and Sarah, we asked you to join us for 2 reasons. Number one, we know that you've been working on some grants, but we want to know how we can help support you with some specific grants, you know, for parks, and then obviously the ARPA funds. You know, we know that those are going to be available. We, you know, have earmarked some things that we hope that maybe, and I did receive the email from John Martin, Mayor John Martin, that was sent to the board chairs, all the chairs of all the boards, that you had sent out to council, which was basically the overview of the Federal Recovery Act guidelines and the YouTube video, which I did watch. And then your 2 pieces of information, Sarah, that you have the requests and suggestions, and then any questions about eligible costs. So, send it to you.
Well, first I'd like to introduce myself briefly. My name is Sarah Bisson. I've been with the city for almost 5 years. I have been in grant administration for over 13 years, so I'm very familiar with grant processes. I wear many hats here at the city. I'm the airport manager, I'm the grant coordinator, and I also work in economic development. That does not necessarily mean business development. Diane Salem does a lot of business development, but when you talk about infrastructure, sidewalks, potential, revenue streams, like if we were ever to consider wind power or something of that nature, electric charging stations, all of those things that contribute to the infrastructure to support economic development. That is my arena, as well as I said, the grant coordinator, which entails processes from the grant fruition through grant closeout reporting. I just act as a hub for all of grant liaisons between funding agencies and the cities. So that's kind of my role here. I grew up in Ocean Shores. I graduated from North Beach High School, Grace Harbor College, taken several courses online at various other colleges, but this is my hometown and I really enjoy contributing back to it. I hear John talk about the cook kitchen down at North Bay Park, which we used to call Tracky, and the basketball hoops where we used to go shoot hoops at night because there was nothing else to do 25 years ago. I have kind of an investment in this community and it's near and dear to my heart. So I'm happy to see that there's been some attention focused to those areas that I have also seen deteriorate throughout the years. So getting towards what we were going to discuss today, I prepared a small memo. It looks more daunting than it truly is, just to talk about the process with ARPA. ARPA training, as Kristen has reiterated, has gone out to all boards and council members. The final rule was passed at the end of 2021. We were operating on an interim rule, and it's kind of a holding pattern until really we can operate and make decisions off of it, but the final rule was placed into effect and accepted as law at the end of 2021, in which U.S. Treasury provided clarification on the final rule allowable costs at the beginning of January. So I think that helped clear up a lot of questions in that video. If you have an opportunity to review the video, it's about 50 minutes long and it's got some great information on there. I have requested that everyone provide to me their requests in the eligible categories after they review the video, and any questions about allowable costs to me by February 28th. And that would eliminate maybe a question and answer forum here today, but it will really give me an opportunity to delve further into the cost eligibility and any research I may do so that I can provide you with correct information moving forward. I don't want to speak out of turn if I'm not necessarily sure of all of the CFRs and laws that govern this fund, and particularly your ask. And what I'll do is I'll compile that information and I'm going to pass it back to your council liaison, because really that is your liaison between yourself, the council, the mayor, and myself. So that's the process in which we will move forward. Item number 2, these items were discussed previously in the year when ARPA funds and it's really called the State and Local Fiscal Recovery Fund. So if you hear me use that terminology, they're interchangeable here within the city because a lot of the time we just shorten it to ARPA funding. But that included bay access accommodations, ADA access ramps for kayaks, and restrooms at the city parks, All of these items listed are eligible items for various reasons: to promote social distancing by enhancing outdoor spaces and serving disproportionately impacted populations. That could mean low income, those with comorbidities, perhaps age demographics, but we have a prevalent disproportionately served population here within the city. So any of those items would be eligible. And to be truthful, most outdoor improvements for parks would be an allowable expense due to those factors. So I also provided a response that came out of the frequently asked questions portion, just to kind of reiterate that for your reference moving forward. They're going to go over slightly some of that in the video, but I really wanted you to have the language available to you as to how these outdoor improvements would benefit parks and then be allowable through ARPA. My numbering became off here. I threw this memo together, so my apologies. It says back to 1, but this really should be 3, item number 3. This is just to speak to grants for parks. There's private community foundation funding available as it becomes available, and through research, we can try and find other funding, but most of the funding available for parks comes through Washington State Recreation and Conservation Office. They are typically Biennium Grants coming available every other year. And aside from funding outside of that arena or federal funding, which doesn't really become available for parks too often to local governments, it would be the responsibility of the board to continue to further seek out, for example, maybe the Grays Harbor Community Foundation funds or whatnot. You would initiate that process, find funding that would fit within your project. And if you needed my assistance to provide that, you would forward your request on to your council liaison. In turn, your council liaison would discuss that with the mayor, and my directives come directly from the mayor. That's how we're working with this administration, and I just want to make sure that we're not bypassing any of those links. So everyone is in the know-how moving forward, how to request funding. And I just want to go back to that RCO for just a moment, because you spoke to your parks comprehensive plan. We must have an approved, adopted plan to be eligible for RCO funding. And that plan is eligible for RCO funding for 6 years after the adoption date. So I believe we're still in the time frame operating off of the prior comprehensive plan, but just keep that in mind moving forward. I also have a link to RCO funding that I'm going to be forwarding on to Sarah and Kristen to help guide what their requirements are within the comprehensive plan. There's not a lot. They don't require a certain number of pages or anything of that nature, but it might assist you while you review your comprehensive plan in order to make you eligible for funding from RCO. And that being said, there is a youth athletics facilities grant coming due in May. So that is something that you may want to review amongst yourselves, Kristen, and then consider how you'd like to move forward, if you'd like to move forward. But it seems like ball fields, basketball courts, those may be eligible, but keep in mind there's a grant cap up to $350,000 and a 50% grant match for that. So if they awarded you $350,000, you would have to have $350,000 in your pocket in order to receive that grant and facilitate it.
Wait a second.
I did notice that.
Can you
Pardon?
do that again? So if they award it to us and it's $350,000, we have to all $50,000. I was so confused.
Yes. So even if it was a $25,000 grant, let's say it was $50,000 to repave or re-asphalt the basketball facility, or $50,000 to fix the kitchen shed, they would contribute $25,000, and you would have to support 25,000.
Okay, so you have.
So that would be a budget request.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Moving forward, I did speak to John Wagner about those decrepit playground facilities, and those would be eligible under ARPA.
Decrepit, that's a good word.
Unfortunately, I don't necessarily know of grants that will pay for playground facilities, but perhaps a community foundation grant, or we'd have to do a little bit further digging for that. The youth athletics facility specifically mentioned ballparks and things of that nature, so I'm not quite sure if they'd cover playgrounds under there. It would have to be further delved into. But just to give you kind of a tip-off to begin your search on grant funding, where to look under Washington State Recreation and Conservation Office. Again, they're Biennium Grants, and what makes us eligible is, of course, under the local government and a adopted and approved and in the time frame comprehensive plan for parks. That's what I have for you today.
So I have a quick question though about that email that you sent out to council about the ARPA request. Because it says on here that you want it by February 28th. If, for example, we wanted to some of that ARPA fund, we don't know how much it's gonna cost. We don't have a clue. And we only meet once a month. I mean, we've got our 9 priorities, but we don't know an amount.
I mean, at that point, perhaps pass it on to your council liaison, but I need them by the 28th, so that way I can begin to create a study session with the council. I would continue to move forward, getting cost estimates or whatnot. Perhaps with your priorities, the council may just assign a certain dollar amount, and you would have to navigate within that budget as to what those priorities could be. But again, in that worksheet, it reiterated if you didn't have an idea or you didn't have information to fill in all of those categories, just go ahead and pass it along anyway, because we need to begin to have those conversations.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So we don't have to put it on the back burner.
Okay, so the biennium grants from the city, or excuse me, from Washington State's Park and Rec. So can I just go online and see when those are coming up? I mean, is it next year?
Yes. In fact, as I said, I will be forwarding out a link that will specifically be for grants eligible, well, for the one that you'd really be eligible for right now, and perhaps any projects that you're seeking aside from boating facilities or something of that nature, which perhaps would be more fresh waterways. But that was the youth athletics facilities grant. And I have a link that I will be providing. I just happened to look it up while you were discussing priorities, and John Wagner had pointed out some priorities as well.
Okay, okay. All right, thank you. Anybody have any other questions for Sarah? Thank you, Sarah. Really appreciate you coming on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you. You guys take care, and I look forward to getting your list. And again, if you don't have those costs right now, go ahead and omit them. We're not sure how we're going to proceed at this time allocating funds out, but at least we can get your foot in the door addressing those concerns. But it would be helpful if you continue to research potential bids or quotes associated with those, or estimated costs.
I do have one question, Sarah. In the 5 years that you've been in your job, have you heard from the park board?
Yes, in the beginning I heard from the park board, but really our focus had been on, High Dune Trail, which is also one of the first recognized fire breaks within the feasibility study conducted or wrapped up in 2016 or 2017. But as far as seeking equipment, not too much. There was some discussion in regard to a dog park, but finding funding for a dog park was very hard. Unless you're getting money from Purina or something of that nature, there's not a lot of funding out for that particular subject. So those were the most hot topics that we've discussed over the last, almost 5 years, 4.5 years. But I think that COVID really put a wrench in any momentum moving forward. So it's been a couple years since I've heard from the Parks Board.
Well, thank you for all your work.
Sorry,
Oh,
Thank you.
one last question. You mentioned funding for parks and recreational. What about ADA funding for parks? For ADA access to docks, to parks, things like that. Is there different funding for that? Is there additional funding is there a resource that we could tap into for that?
Not to my knowledge, but I wonder if there's federal funding that's filtered through the state, through the Americans with Disabilities Act. I don't think that I've seen anything of that nature, but that's a good question. It'd be something definitely worth investigating. But at this point, that would fall into an ARPA eligible category.
Okay, thank you.
Especially considering the disproportionate impact to your disabled population.
Okay, thank you again.
Thank you kindly.
Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, next up is Parks Comprehensive Plan, Chapter 2, Heidi.
Okay, so I don't know, again, if people really had a chance to look at it, if you remember. So this chapter is an overview chapter more of the specific city resources. And then they divide it basically into the developed parks, the underdeveloped parks, and the undeveloped parks. So what I think is my view, of course, is consistency. And we will need another ad hoc group to go through it. And what I would encourage, because we will have some things to divide, but what I would encourage is anybody who's not on the ad hoc group, if you can look at your parks that you're assigned and maybe pick 1 or 2 others that you go and visit, like if it's an undeveloped area like the Butterclam beach access or whatever, and send comments to at least one person, to Kristen, if she can forward it then to the ad hoc committee, or maybe she'll be on it, so that we can just make sure that there's consistency, because that's one thing I noticed in this was developed back in 2018, and I think that there's just some consistency issues. That's my view. I don't know what anybody else has to say, but obviously we need another ad hoc committee to go through this. I think that this chapter will be a little more straightforward though.
Great. So we need an ad hoc committee for Chapter 2 to review it. That's a great suggestion though, Heidi, is everybody taking their park and then, looking at this and letting me know which parks that you're gonna add to take a look. So we need another ad hoc committee. We need 3 people.
I'm on board.
Chris- Chris is
but I don't
on.
wanna,
No, you're fine, Chris.
I
That's
don't
great.
wanna take any away from anybody else.
I mean, I'll do it again.
I'm willing to help out in any way I can, either to be on it or to research your parks, wherever you need me.
Okay.
So we just need somebody on it that will handle the technical side. So that's kind of where I was, unless there's somebody else that, that's willing to do that. And Ed, that's great too, though. Like if we can say, go to these 10 places and give us feedback compared to what's written and what you noticed.
Yeah.
That in itself is a big help, because because having to do all of those, it's a big list.
Whatever you need me to do, I'm game. So
I'm hearing 2 things though. So I'm hearing like, Ed, do you want to go to the parks we do that and just report back to me so I can forward to the ad hoc committee, or you wanting to be on it where we're making the revisions, but you
Well,
don't care?
I don't really care. I
Okay.
want to help in the
Okay.
best way that you guys can use me,
Okay, all right.
okay?
Doesn't matter, all right, so Chris, you want to be part of the revision, correct?
If you
Yes,
think I
like
add
last time?
anything to the
Yep, okay.
mix.
We didn't hear from Anna, so Anna, I don't know whether I don't want to leave you out, so.
No, by no means, you're not leaving me out. My schedule, I just had a death in the family and I'm the executor of the estate. So my schedule is beyond full and I don't see how I could even squeeze in anything else right now.
Okay, sorry sorry that you had somebody you lost. That's hard.
Thank you.
Okay, so, all right, so I'm gonna make a motion, I need a motion actually, to do an ad hoc committee for chapter 2 that's going to have, well, Heidi, are you wanting to do the technical piece again?
Yeah, I'll do the technical piece for this one because I think that we won't be cutting as much. It'll just be more making, the writing, it will be, I'll do it.
Okay. All right,
Yeah,
so-
that was real decisive, wasn't it?
Chris Bridges, Heidi Owen, and myself for the revision of chapter 2. I need a motion for that, so somebody's got.
I'll motion that.
Okay, I need a second.
I'll say.
Okay, all in favor?
I,
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, so then there we go. There's the ad hoc committee and then, and we just.
So Heidi or Kristen, you'll let me know which parts you want me to look at.
Yes, we'll send you a list.
Send me a list and I will do a better job. I'll grab my camera, I'll take some pictures, I'll visit the parks. I'll take a look at them, send you what I have, and there you go. I'll compare them to, what's written down in chapter 2, because that's mostly what chapter 2 is, right?
yeah.
Yeah, so we can just talk about that later.
Okay, great.
All right, so
There's where
wrapping this
professional
up,
photography comes in.
summer fun program, the overview. So the summer fun program is going to be happening in July, and there have been some questions. So I'd like to invite Councilman Peterson, who is the brains behind the summer fun program. I think he's the leader of it, to our March meeting to advise the Parks Board on, the planning, the promotion, the operations, all how the expenditures for the summer fun program, work. So we can talk about that a little bit more. And
Would
then
that be our first March meeting or
our meeting in
March,
March, yeah, so,
Okay.
so we need to have a motion to invite Councilman Peterson to our
I'll make that
meeting,
motion.
so, okay, give a second.
Second,
Okay, great, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
aye.
Aye.
All right, I will, I think I can do that, right? I don't need Lisa to be our council liaison to do that. I can just email Bob Peterson, right? Okay, I'll do that. Okay.
Is that right, Lisa? We can just email Bob directly and invite him as the liaison? Lisa must be tied up.
Sorry. I think that if you want to invite him directly, or I can ask him to attend, either way. Sometimes it's better coming from the board, but I have no problem asking him.
I can do it. I'll just send him an email, just asking him to come. All right, next up, as Park Board Liaison to the Summer Fun Program, I thought it might be a good idea to have representation from the Parks Board attend the Summer Fun Program. Just so we know, we can see what's going on, we can do that.
That's a whole week, isn't it?
It is a Monday through a Friday. It's in July. I don't know the exact date. It was just a thought I had. I don't know what anybody else's thoughts were. It's kind of like what we did with you, Ed, and had a liaison on the Parks Foundation. We just,
Right.
I think that we need to know what's going on. And
Should we bounce that off of Bob next month?
well, No, I don't think we need to bounce off of Bob. I think that we as a board should just talk about it. I mean, that was my thought.
I imagine it would be a working. Is it,
Yeah.
I mean, they would give you a job.
Yep.
To do, that sort of thing.
Oh, I'm sure it would be. I mean, we can talk to Bob about it, but I was just gonna have what your guys' thought on that was, and Heidi has her hand up.
Yeah, I think actually, Kristen, I think that's a good idea of that. And I'm not even sure that somebody has to, wouldn't unless they were, I mean, they could participate, but I'm not sure that they'd have to participate at the level of being there 100% of the time. But it just, to me, it just falls within the purview of kind of what the responsibilities of the park board are, and also helps give us an idea for, since this is the only recreation really program in the city, I think it will get, if this person can give us feedback of things they observed and help us decide as a board, then what else do we want to do? Or do we want to do anything else? And then, and begin the dip planning for next year. So I actually really like the idea of it, just to say, because I know that if it ended up being me, which I'm not saying it would be, but I don't think I'd want to be there the whole week, but maybe somebody would, so. But it's just more to kind of know what's going on, and then be able to report back to the board and the experience of it.
And each one of us could take a day and then give our input collectively.
All right. I mean, you can always talk to Councilman Peterson, get his input, but I think that there should be representation.
I think so
Some
too.
form.
Okay, so maybe the best way to do that is after we talk to or.
We'll have time to think about it from March to July.
Okay.
Well, is there anybody that's interested? Because I think that there's activities that the liaison may want to work with beforehand. You know, it may not just be that week, the actual event. It may be things beforehand. Oh, Lisa came on, so she must have some, yeah. You're still
Sorry,
muted.
I'm
Okay.
using two screens, so my mouse keeps getting stuck on the other screen, so I apologize.
Yeah.
You know, it might be one of those things where one, I can formally invite council. So just let me know what you'd like me to mention at council. And then two, if there are specific roles that you would like council to participate in, let me know, and I can always ask for volunteers.
Okay.
Is there anybody on the board that it would be interested in kind of working on that aspect with the summer fun program, and you know, and kind of keeping in touch with Bob or whoever is like doing some of the organization, seeing if there's a way that they want to get, you know, maybe can get involved, or do we not even really have interest?
Chris, you want to do that? Okay, that'd be great, actually.
I could help you if you'd like.
Okay,
That's great. Do it. Yeah.
split our time.
Yeah, that's a
Split
great
our
idea.
time, that way no.
Yeah.
So I'd be willing to do
Okay.
that.
All right, so
So who did we have? Who was interested?
I'll need a motion for Chris and Ed to be liaisons in the summer fun program, and we'll talk about it when we meet with Councilman Peterson, but I think that's a good idea.
I think so too.
I need a motion for that.
I'll make that motion.
John, I'll second can I second the motion? I'll second the motion, so all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? No, okay.
All right, that's good.
So, okay, last in the discussion, we're almost done. This has been a long one, sorry, you guys. There is no board vice president. So if I couldn't make a meeting, there was nobody to lead the meeting. So I think that we probably need to appoint somebody to do that. I think I want to make most meetings, but you never know. So
Yeah. No, that's smart.
yeah, so we've got we have the secretary of Heidi, and then if Heidi can't make it, you know, I can easily do the notes. So or somebody else can just volunteer. But so I need somebody to throw their hat in the ring to do it.
After reading Craig's resume, and I thought, here's our vice president.
I'm willing to do that if
Okay, great, so I need a motion that Ed Scholl would serve as
I-
president. Oh, yeah,
Motion that.
all right, I second that, all in favor that Ed Scholl is vice president?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Okay, great, well, congratulations.
you. Now you got me so deep.
Congratulations, Ed.
Okay,
All
yeah,
right.
thanks.
Let's see, reports from me, nothing really, just reach out to the Eagle Scout and see if maybe there's somebody who might want to take over that little project over at Chinook, but other than that, I don't have anything. Anna, do you have anything to report that's not park inspection?
No.
Okay, how about Chris?
I actually do. Did anybody see this article in the Daily World quoting John Martin on the effects of the pandemic on tourism? But the thing that interested me in this article was he's talking about the LTAX funds, and only 3 people put their name in for funds. And presently, right now, there's $69,000 left in that fund that can be tapped into. And I'm thinking we could ask for some funds out of this to repair the skate park, because the tourists use that skate park.
In Milo Park.
And Milo, they used Milo a
Yeah,
lot.
so there you go.
So that's my, let's tap on this.
Lisa, Sarah, you were gonna say something, Sarah?
So that's like
I'm here. Yeah.
There's 69,000 in there, and Lisa can attest, but they're part of the resolution and the LTAC documentation and MRSC and RCWs. Once that money is administered, that 60,000 remains there. You have to go through ordinances, and there has to be special circumstances to open that pot of money, like it's, because we looked into that when there was only 3 applicants, and it is a huge ordeal where LTAC's gonna come around again in October. So it's like a whole process through council.
Is this one of those things where you use it or lose it?
No, you don't lose it, but you can't go back in and get the pot of money. Like, you can't just say, oh, we're gonna open LTAC back up and take applications. It's this huge monthly
So
long
in other
process.
words, it's closed.
Closed, yeah.
Is,
But I say that, but it's a matter of if you took this whole thing to council, the finance director, the mayor, blah, 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 and they passed all that pot of money would open back up.
How do we do that?
would parks be able to qualify for LTAC funds? Because I didn't even know that was an option.
So when I asked about boards and committees, because I'm at a board and committee meeting, it's nonprofit. So the 501c3 could ask for LTAC funds and then make that donation towards the parks.
So the Parks Foundation.
The Parks Foundation, that's the Fresh Waterways Foundation, the like, you know what I mean? They can, but like, you are not an entity in which taxable, non-taxable, so on and so forth. So the foundation can, and I can send you all of that information about LTAC funds, because it might be worth, my first guess is they're not gonna go through all of the hullabaloo to get it back open for the 69,000 that's sitting there. But come LTAC time, and you need to plan prior to that, the
So October.
foundation could,
Right, okay.
apply for.
Make a note of that one.
Okay, yes.
But we need to get the park
Okay,
fixed before fall.
yeah, okay. All right, great, thanks, Chris.
But
Anything
that's-
else?
You wanna say this article, or?
Sure. I'll-
You probably have it.
I don't actually have it. Anything else?
No.
Great, well, that's awesome. Heidi, anything? Other
Nope.
than- Okay.
Nothing.
Ed?
Yeah, real quick here, since you brought that up, I am meeting with Michael Darling and Catherine Peterson in the next week. Apparently that last visit to the CPA cost them almost $600.
Oh my God.
So So they're pretty desperate to get rid of the CPA. I really honestly believe in the heart of my hearts, it's not worth it anymore about the amount of money that's left in there. I believe that it should just get closed down, and I think we should find whatever means it is to open up a 501c3, get our own Parks Board Foundation.
Okay, you were
going.
gonna talk to Michael and see if
Yes.
CIC could.
Yes, to do that, but irregardless of what they can do or what they can't do, just listening to what Sarah said about this
Okay.
money here, this LTEC money,
Okay.
we need that foundation, just like the library has it, the
Yeah,
fresh waterways have it.
Yeah,
We need that foundation to be able to apply for this. sort of
yeah,
funding.
yeah. And tap into the roundup and.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. I think it would just open up so many more
Yeah.
possibilities for us. So,
Yeah.
Well, the more you guys get out there, the potential for more donations, and there's not a current donation in the budget, you know, and that budget rolls over every 2 years, so that money wouldn't be sitting in a nonprofit
right.
waiting for you to be used, you know.
Paying for Hawaii trips for the CPA.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Council liaison, anything, Lisa?
No, I'm good. Just make sure whatever you'd like me to present to council Monday night. I can do that in the first report on committee assignments. So I can talk about I can just mention the fact that you would like to be on the agenda, and that's going to be coming forward for the next meeting. And about the program, the summer programs. So yeah, whatever you guys like, just let me know, and definitely have no problems bringing anything forward.
Do we have anything else that we want Lisa to bring forward other than we want to be on the agenda? And I guess she could mention that, you know, something about summer fun, or do we just want to get, or just on just the presentation, and then we'll handle it at the presentation?
I can't think of anything else.
Let's do.
It doesn't hurt to mention things multiple times either.
Oh, I bet that's true.
You know, when they get tired of us and throw us some money.
That's what I'm hoping for. Like I said, we are going to have a council retreat next month. And we're going to be talking about priorities, and we're to have our list sent in on what those are, and parks is on my list because it's one of those areas that I personally think that the city's neglected and needs to step up a little bit more, at least on the maintenance side. So.
Do you have a date
Well,
for that?
Go ahead, Chris.
Oh, I said, what's the date for the retreat?
Setting priorities.
No, a date.
They don't have.
Oh, we don't know yet. It will be in March. It'll be, I think, a Tuesday in March. So it just is going to be next month. I think in the next couple days, we'll probably have that date set.
Well, maybe that's something that Lisa could mention in Monday's meeting, is that in addition that we're coming, but also she can point out that in her personal opinion, parks have kind of been neglected, and that the current board has expressed that it's been neglected, and that it's, and that we really will want the city council's support to start doing some maintenance and updates for parks.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just good for a reminder. I don't know what people think.
Parks are a very good tourism component that we really, as a city, need to step up and take care of.
Regardless of tourism, we're not even doing by our residents with our groups. So I know Lisa, but my opinion is our residents come first when it comes to our.
I was just gonna say, it's not all about the tourists.
No, but it is kind of what generates money. So yes, our citizens are most important, absolutely. But also when you talk about generating money and spending funds, tourism plays that vital role, and you need one. It's almost like you can't have one without the other. So.
Except for we have a beach, and that's usually where the tourists go. We're talking about, our residents that live here year round. wanna go to a park, so.
Is it,
Yeah, okay, perfect.
to me, it seems like our youth population has grown quite a bit since I've been here since 2016.
Yeah,
You know,
that's true. Ed, you got one more?
Yeah, one quick thing, Lisa, if you have a second. Noting all of the maintenance that's required, that's at the parks, the pitches we've seen, the rust, the replacement of things, making things safe, the things at the skate park, the falling, the collapsing things. What we really need is a budget, something we can count on every year to make repairs, to maintain the parks. How do we move forward with that? That is real, it's one thing to every year keep begging for money and hope that we get something so we can actually get something accomplished. But in order to actually maintain the parks, there has to be a budget in place, and it can't be a secondary budget run by the city works department. It has to be something that's run by the parks department. How do we move forward to something along those lines?
Well, at least to me, in my opinion only, it would be that we really need to emphasize the safety of the situation. I think that's utmost important, because ultimately, it could cost the city money and liability with those hazards. And I think second is we need to request that the city go out and take a look at all of the parks equipment, and look at it from a safety standpoint and take immediate action. And that's first and foremost. If it's a hazard and a liability, it needs to be dealt with immediately. I know that John mentioned, and God bless John, that he hates taking anything down if there's not a mechanism to replace it immediately. But I'm not sure if some of those things are that big of a hazard that we can do that. But I think it's very important to note, but it would be nice to have that list done by the city, and then to have the city staff take action on it. And then from there, you set your list of what you want accomplished and priorities that you want funded back. And then you keep hammering on the city to be included in the budget.
would Robert, the city engineer, be the one to be the professional behind that requested list?
I think the request can come, we should give that to the mayor and let him decide which staff would be best suited for that. But I think the request that, look, we've got some serious concerns. We would like city staff to be able to go out and take a look at the parks, the equipment, and making sure that at least they're in good working order, or, not a danger to the public.
How do we get that request to the mayor?
I can get it to him. Kristen can send John an email, however you want to bring it forward.
Thank you.
Hey, Lisa?
Heidi's got her hand up, I think, too.
Yeah, I do. This discussion has just reminded me that if we're going to do the presentation on the 28th, Kristen, did you say you will be out of town?
I will be out of town.
So who's going to do the presentation? I mean, I'm willing to help, but I think having two of us up there would be good.
Okay, so
I don't know how good I'd be at it.
Oh,
So Ed is our new VP. Are you gonna? Okay.
I'm out
After being, now that you're the city VP, that's a fitting. You're taking.
Oh, yeah, it's your your first responsibility.
yeah, we need to just communicate on how you want to proceed with that, so we have a plan moving forward.
Yeah, well, I'll get in touch with you separately so that we can do that. But okay, so you'll do it with, okay. All right, so it'll be Ed and me. Okay.
Thanks, you guys. All right, so park inspection side, Chinook and Spinnaker, nothing to report there. Chris, North Bay, Limpet.
I have a question on North Bay. I actually should bounce this off of John, he could give us a better answer, but you know how we have the restrooms there. Well, there's a porta potty over here.
Uh-huh.
And it makes it look like the restrooms are out of order having that porta potty there. And I'm wondering, I know it costs the city, to have a porta potty there. And why is it there if we had working restrooms, is my question.
Maybe it's handicapped for.
Should I-
for ADA.
No, it's not, it's a regular size one. Maybe I'll send that question to John,
Okay,
because to me it kind of looks yucky, I mean,
so you're just saying that, but well, maybe he has an answer why it's there, so,
yeah.
okay.
It might have been there, but I don't know, it's sitting right on it, where the path from the parking lot, the boat launch parking goes into the park,
Okay,
and I don't know, to be honest.
okay, all right. Anything else? Limpets, fine?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Anna, Marine View and South End Grand Canal?
Okay, so south is fine. Marine View has graffiti on the dumpster, on the garbage can. There's like a rock garbage can, and it got tagged with some graffiti that I don't know how they're gonna get that either removed or have to paint over it or something along those lines.
Yeah, they're aware of that. Yeah,
Oh, they
Okay.
are, Kristen? So they've got that?
yes, because I.
I drove by there the other day, and I
Yeah.
thought it looked
Yeah.
fixed, yeah.
So, okay, Heidi, Texmark, Anderson, Emerson.
Nothing to report. Oh, except I don't know if it got, the bench is gone. The
Yeah.
wonky bench is gone. So that's, yeah, out of Gunderson. So that's the only thing I have to report.
Okay, great. Ed?
No, everything's the same shape, are still in the same shape it is, and John was kindly to mention some things that I missed over in Milo, which is,
We were at Milo as well, we didn't see that, but there were kids playing on.
yes.
Okay, so our next meeting is March 9th at 1 o'clock. It is, I want a motion to adjourn at 2:41.
I motion that.
Oh, yeah.
Second, all in favor?
Second, third, fourth.
All right, sorry, guys.